Hey, Scar Not Silent. This is Rodney G. So I am currently not using my fancy microphone that my oldest gave me and my wife gave me for Mother's Day, for Father's Day. However, I am on this little fuzzy ball microphone that I got for like I don't know, maybe $5 or so off a little online auction, and so I hope it works. I plugged it into my computer. I've been messing around with it for about 20 minutes. It died on me, and I charged it up. So the plan is to get moving with the show. So, like I said, this is Scar Not Silent. If you've been here before, welcome. If you have not, nice to see you for the first time, and let's be friends. And right now, I'm just going to talk about, well, if you haven't been here, this is my journey about kidney disease, Scar Not Silent. So the long version is like intersection of survival, right? So right now, survival is my kidney journey. And we're getting good now because I had a transplant and everything else. So just get caught up if you can, and we'll see you back up here, or you could see me right now, then go get caught up. However you want to do it, it's up to you. So the initial plan is we're going to walk it all through the kidney process. And then I have put thought into it. I just haven't figured out the solution to my problem yet. So I may continue just going through journeys. I may continue going to look for interviews, which will require me to probably get a little more organized and set up. As right now, we're just going to enjoy where we're at, right? Which kind of leads to the whole mindfulness and gratitude. With Thanksgiving coming up, everybody's getting ready, prepared for that turkey. We got our turkey today, a 21-pound turkey. I don't even know if we ever got a 21-pound turkey, which I'm all for it, right? So I love them turkey. So if we got some leftover turkey, uh, that's great. So that turkey made the ultimate sacrifice. I'm grateful for that. But on the other hand, on the real, right? I was talking about the whole having the stents out and everything like that. And in many ways, I'm just grateful for the modern technology that we have today. Even though it was painful, people went through. I mean, could you imagine like back in the Civil War days, they tell you to bite on the stick, get a swig of like some moonshine or alcohol. You know that alcohol doesn't kick in that quick. And one sip is not going to take the pain away. So maybe if they have morphine back then, if they had any available, you could get a shot. Other than that, I think it was just biting that stick, putting a tourniquet on and chopping it off or doing the surgery. Right. And I'm complaining about some stents. Well, that's my modern time pain. So I don't want to like deflate my pain any, but just something to think about. And even more than that, I just kind of think of more of because we always Thanksgiving. It's always like you're always thankful for, it's kind of like the norm, right? Your family, your friends, for the house I'm in, and or if you're not in the house, maybe you have a tent. Maybe that's your living situation. And you're happy just to have a tent to keep you dry and for the wind not blowing on you. All perspective, right, of our happiness. And then I thought about it. I thought about the kind of sinister thought of like the things that happened to me when I was a kid, like the child sexual abuse, kind of, living with my dad, he drank and he's been sober for, I don't know how long, for so many years now. So, which I give it to him for that. But thinking as a kid, growing up in that and then having a learning disability and being told that you were, you're not smart enough, you're not going to college, you're not college material, getting thumped on the head by learning disabilities, special teachers, the special teachers, having the little lady put her finger up under my chin because she thought I wasn't paying attention, but I just wasn't understanding the instructions, getting pulled out of class, just all those little, they're not little things. At the time, you don't know how big they are as a kid. And going through that and just continuing, like those things still stay with you. Learning disabilities still stay. Math is like the weakness of me. So board games, I hate board games because a lot of it is some type of math related. A lot of times, even just adding up the scores, something that simple. What else here? I kind of say always I have like the big four, right? Growing up black in Iowa, that was always kind of a stressor too. Being called out of my name, worried about getting jumped in certain parts, kind of like outside my neighborhood, but playing football, a lot of time I had to walk over a viaduct, which a viaduct is a bridge. And then we had another bridge that we called the railroad trestle, and then it had a train yard in it. And that was like the shortcut, which if you was really tired from football practice, the shortcut was the way to go. But you just would pray that you wouldn't have to fight your way out because the bridge basically had a chain link fence. And if you had to encounter somebody in there, you're fighting your way through the other side because you can't obviously jump over the bridge anyway, but you couldn't do it because it was chain links fence around it. Never encountered it, but it was just always that fear that it could happen. And sort of, I wasn't kind of worried because felt like I was Superman. I was a big dude and I had my football helmet all the time. So I was like, I already had my plan. Like I'm swinging football helmets and scraping people's faces across the chain link like wrestling. But I never had to deal with that. I had to deal with the other stuff. So it was just all these things that in life. And I go, and really, I'm kind of gracious. Like I'm out of it now. We're done. You get to think about it and reflect about it, and kind of gracious that I went through these things because it built me up. It built that resilience, it was a lot of that, that what you say. And since it was kind of like some of that street smart too. So I had that street smarts, was able to apply that education with it, really kind of like rounded me into a person of just grateful for those uh, interactions. And you go, how did you, what does that mean? Like, why are you grateful to be like perked as a kid or called the N word? And I'm not grateful for being perked as a kid. I'm grateful for that. But I'm grateful that I was able to come out on the other side to survive it. Like I said, there's so many stories, and I may go into that, and I might be other part because it's the intersection of survival. That's what the full stint of the title is. So survival stories, right? And it's not talking about like surviving a bullet or nothing like that. That's somebody else's survival story. But mine are those main topics that I mentioned. And it's just really allowed me to think about how did that round me as a person. Like I have this crazy empathy for people, situations. Like there's certain commercials I'll start kind of crying, and I'm really introvert, and overall I've grown to be more social. But when you really have that deep conversation, I really value that deep personal conversation with people where they feel so comfortable with me when they just let out all the stuff that they just been holding in for years, and they barely know me for a half an hour, and all of a sudden we're talking about their childhood. Like that's pretty amazing to be able to have that conversation with someone. And that is really, I call it like a superpower to connect. Superpower of connection comes from that childhood. And some people say trauma. I don't necessarily associate it with trauma, but resiliency is probably like my best word, and able to apply that to listening to other people. So that's what I kind of thought about gratitude. In other ways too, I talk about OPA, right? The observation, process, and action. And I laid it out in a framework. And observation, I'm gonna go through the quick version, so hopefully it doesn't sound like I'm rambling. And maybe what I could do is if you want, I could maybe make like a template or something like that, and you could get it and use it or keep it however you want to do with it. But the observation would be, what do I see? What is real right now? This is about slowing the moment down long enough to recognize what's already present. So identify one moment, person, or experience from today that stood out. That could be one. State it plainly, no pressure to make it poetic. It doesn't have to be poetic or beautiful. And describe what happened with clear detail. And for example, and I see how this works because also in the madness, my computer mouse cussed me out and said, I don't feel like working for you no more either. So let me see. This might be the one that's gonna bite me in the tail end. And now I'm just dead air, and I'm probably gonna have to edit this dead air. I'm not editing the dead air because nothing's working right now. So if I break out into singing Teddy Pendergrass or something like that, y'all better get your phones, look him up and sing with me. Okay. All right. So we're going to go with an example, right? I'm back. So what did I notice today that made my spirit pause? What did just kind of took everything and made me just go, how that moment where you're just in shock and you thirst, thinking about things and somebody look at you and go, what you thinking about? What made your spirit pause? What brought me even a small sense of comfort, joy, or relief? And so many things, it's the little things, right? You may walk around and see a little puppy like tugging at its at its leash, which sometimes that just cracks me up. And I stop and I smile. It's the little joys in life, right? And who showed up for me today, even in a small way? Maybe you dropped your keys, somebody picked them up. Maybe somebody held the door for you, which back in the day used to be so common and almost expected. But now we value when somebody holds the door. I was at this hospital and I saw the guy walking ahead of me, and I was wondering, I wonder if he's going to hold the elevator for me. Not expected, just wondering. And I got there to it and he had it open. And I said, "Thank you so much for holding it." And he said, "You're welcome." And that made my day. Now, the second part is we talk about process, right? So, how did it affect me? What meaning does it carry? This is where gratitude deepens, right? You move from noticing to understanding it. So, this step, explore the moment impacted you most emotionally. Sorry, lost my voice there. Explore how the moment impacts you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And spiritually doesn't always reference to God. Spiritually, something some people like, oh, nature is my spirits. There you go. Ask what it says about where you are in your journey. Consider why this moment mattered more than you first realized. So, for example, let's go to example. How did this moment shift my mood or mindset? And this could be something where you was in a space where you was like doing so good and somebody said something and it changed your mood, or somebody said something and it did the opposite where you change your mindset and you refocused on it. What does this say about what I need more of in my life? Maybe you need to pause and relax more. Maybe there's anxiety. Maybe there's something that you're carrying with you from years ago. Or maybe you realize that this mindset has set you to do something that you always wanted to, but you was always scared of or afraid or didn't want to deal with it. I want my own business, but I don't want to lose out on the money. Why does this moment feel important? Let yourself take a moment and answer those questions. And the last one is action in OPA. People say it differently. I say OPA. So I probably say different ways when I say it myself. Action. What will I do because of what I notice and learn? Gratitude becomes powerful when it reshapes the next step. Gratitude becomes powerful when it reshapes the next step. This isn't about grand gestures. It's not about being elaborate. It's about what I always say intentional. Be intentional. This is about intentional steps. And what's that going to look like when we're talking about the steps right now? It means choose one action that honors the moment or builds on it. I was making sure my microphone was still working. It's still live, so we're still here. Keep the action small. Keep it small. We always, and my wife even tells me, and sometimes I'm just explaining something to her and she goes, "Oh my gosh, just keep it small." And I just was kind of explaining something else to you. So keep it small, sustainable, and realistic. Because like she says, sometimes I'll go, "Oh my gosh, that would be amazing to have my own business and move to Dubai," right? I never said that because I don't want to move to Dubai, but it's just an example. Well, is that sustainable right now? Is that sustainable or is that realistic? Not right now. I don't even have anything set up, right? Maybe once I get on course, it could be realistic, but right now I got to take one step, a small step, a sustainable step, and then let the action reinforce the gratitude so it becomes part of your daily rhythm. So just keep it as something as daily. The best thing is to just, like, if you make your bed once, continue making your bed. Just a quick example. And speaking of examples, here's some more. Send a short thank you message. Take 5 minutes to breathe or pray in the same peaceful way the moment inspired. Sometimes I'm walking and I used to do it a lot in San Diego with Buddy because um something for me being there just kind of renewed my soul. And a lot of people have this thing about California, which whatever, each your own. But there was the neighborhood and there was just sometimes you get that rainy mistiness and it was just a moment for me to just kind of reflect. And I would take deep breaths. I would stop and take deep breaths and kind of reflect on where I'm at spiritually. And the next one is commit to repeating something that supported your well-being. And that may be just taking a shower in the morning to keep it going. Keep it going. Take a shower in the morning. Take a shower in the morning. Take a shower in the morning. Make the bed, make the bed, make the bed. And then you feel better. Well, that's your well-being. When you feel better, that's your well-being. Continue doing it. Commit to it. That's the biggest thing. It says commit to it. As you commit to eating chocolate chip cookies, commit to those things. I'm not saying that you commit to chocolate chip cookies because it may not necessarily support your well-being every day. And set a reminder to look for that feeling again tomorrow. So when you wake up, think about it. Think about, I'm going to make my bed because it felt so good. It felt good when I made my bed. It felt good when I straightened my desk up before I left work. It made me feel like when I came in that I had everything where I needed to be, and I wasn't lost. And then that's how you build gratitude. It sounds long, but as you practice it, it becomes shorter and shorter and shorter. And basically, it's a lot of reflection and talking to yourself and thinking, which is not bad. So I know this is long, and I'm going to stop saying it because this was valuable. This is probably some of the most valuable information I felt like I've given you about gratitude. So until next time, I'm going to go ahead and move on now and figure out that how I'm going to edit this big old piece. And if it sounds good, and then everything else with this little cheap fuzzy mic, if it works well. But until next time, thank you for being here. One thing, it's always one thing, right? I should call it one thing. I had to put some thought into it. And what I wanted to do was to possibly, cause I was joking about speaking, maybe just, I'm not the most, the best speaker in the world. However, just some of the stories, would be easy for me to recount. So if you want me somewhere, or you want me to speak to someone or Zoom, if you got a group of people or I think a lot of times like dialysis patients, going there and speaking to them or putting a big Zoom on a like a screen and just kind of talking to people from that way. I don't know. We can innovate. I'm open to it. I don't have anything written. There's just a thought that popped up, but I'm planning to kind of get a little more into details with that. And then also the place that you could contact me is at the scarrednotsilent at gmail.com. Scarrednotsilent@gmail.com. If you want to reach me or contact me or whatever, you just want to send me a message, that's totally fine there too. So thank you. And guess what? You know it. Say it. Say it out loud. Say it. If you wake up, you have a purpose. Bye.